Back on the show now is Chepe Mariscal, who picked up a round two victory over Jack Jenkins at UFC 293. Chepe, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I'm good, but I'm clearly not as good as you were after that huge performance. Big win over a tough guy. This is a guy that, a lot of momentum behind him. I think the UFC had him tapped to do some big things, and you beat him in his own backyard. How good are you feeling right now about your performance?
I'm feeling good, man. Excuse me. The first round, obviously, yeah, it was a back and forth. If I even went back to look at it, but second round, I started getting into like my groove. Like the on switch came on. I started doing my thing. It's hard to explain to people like my style, but my style is like to like crowd my opponent, put him on the cage, punch him a little, dirty box, throw some knees, get my opponent to breathe different, like make them, instead of thinking so offensively, they have to think very defensively. And I'm just like a step ahead on that. I just felt like that's been the way I've been fighting, and I just haven't been adding it on like with my striking, because like I used hit like if you watch the first, if you watch the second round, I started throwing, strikes, and he's the one who started grappling me. So I was like, all right, like he's doing exactly what I wanted. So I kept picking at him and trying to get close using my boxing, my dirty boxing, and that's when his hips, came in, and I'm a judoka, so it's a you tie up with me or I tie up with you, you're definitely gonna fly.
So I think it's safe to say that your game plan going in here against Jack pretty much was executed to perfection.
It was, man. Like, to be honest, after the fight, obviously, I let the fans get to me. I let the booze get to me, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I didn't win the way you guys wanted me to win, but I won the way my camp wanted me to win." Back home, knows how I fight. Like I throw heat, I got that power, but I got that juice, that cardio. Like that. I knew my cardio was going to be a huge thing, so I worked on it hella hard, but I train in altitude, so going to sea level, I felt like a monster down there.
He did bloody your eye there in the first round. Did that affect your ability to see or anything in there?
Nah, he obviously scratched. He had a good scratch, and it was outside of the eye because that's what my corner told me after the round. But man, like what's crazy is like we manifested a bunch of this. So like at the Jacksonville fight when I was getting ready before peak, Jack was already warming up. Uh, like they had the other half of the mat and we had the other side, and we were warming up at the same time, and you could tell my partner in my corner, I told them I was going to fight Jack in the future, right before the Trevor Peak fight, because I seen his technique. He had good Dutch kickboxing. But to me, I felt like I could interrupt that kind of style. I was just trained with a lot of kickboxers, so right there, that's when I called it. I was like, I'll fight this guy. He's the same, kind of the same size, and then I went and got the Trevor Peak fight done, and then suddenly, they called me and say, "Hey, you want to fight Jack?" And I was like, "Yeah, perfect." If you fought that same night, we're both kind of like in that same, like kind of soreness, kind of like, oh, we're fighting right back to it, So that that was talked out. That was all planned out very well. And then the camp too, like how we went in there to fight this guy. He was a great Dutch kickboxer. If you saw my shin, like I was blocking kicks and taking some kicks, but then that's when, like, after I sat down the second round, I was like, oh, I don't want to get kicked anymore, So I'm gonna start doing my thing. I'm gonna start pressuring him, start putting him, on his back foot where he couldn't throw no kicks. He could throw some knees, small punches, but I knew they were not going to be as effective as his kicks. So then we went into that game plan, and it just, it kind of just, it went great.
Obviously, a win is all that matters. But from a fighter's perspective, I just wanted to get your take on this. Is it disappointing at all that it was from like a verbal submission? Does that play a factor into like how you look at the fight, or do you wish you could have just like actually finished him with strikes or a submission?
Nah, I finished him a judoka way. If you do your research, to be 1,000% honest, I have like Olympic judo. Like if you look at the guys in the Olympics, they break arms, fingers, any limbs, anything you like. You have to imagine a judo throw. You is be as you're throwing the person, it's that person's weight and my weight. That's like 200 pounds going down to the ground. Plus, and it's you know, Jack did something like that. I even tell my practice partners, do not post. Do not like post your elbow. Don't try to like even use your head, because I had pride like that when I was a judoka. Guys would throw me and I put my head, I'll post my head instead of my hand. I get a little dizzy. That's the thing about judo. It spazzes like the throw. That's why Ronda Rousey was throwing those girls, and then they'll get spooked and then armbar, because
Right.
they were stunned. They were like, what the fuck, I just got thrown. Like to get off my feet, it's crazy. So like I did a, and if you notice all my fights, I've always did a hip toss. So I've always was inside the control, like I had my arms inside. So like Trevor Peak would, on the throw, I already had that arm covered, so he couldn't post at all. So he would fall directly on his back. But this time, Jack is the one who tied up with me. He's the one who gave me the wizard, just ready to go. I was like, oh, this is my spot. And what he engaged was, he tried to lift me, and that activates all my judo. So once you start releasing, I could feel your core, and right away, that's when like I was like, oh, I could do this wizard kick. I never did a wizard kick ever in my MMA career. And then what I meant is, when I was 11 years old, I did that wizard kick, and a kid did not know how to fall, posted, and broke his arm. So like, that's why I didn't use it ever again. And I knew my judo IQ was always good, and I didn't do it in practice. Even some guys you could ask in my practice room, I throw and I'll even teach them how to fall, or they know how to fall. And it's just the timing. Sometimes your pride kind of kicks in, and you're just like, nah, I don't want to give up that beautiful takedown. So I did a beautiful, wizard kick, and then I went to go, as you can see, I kind of like kept punching, and then I hit him back of the head by accident, because you can see the ref pulling me. As he's pulling me, I'm trying to hit in an angle, and he pulled me, and I kind of like hit flush back to the head. But I even told him like, my bad, and he even knew. He was like, man, you're it like I bet you your emotions are all crazy because the boos. Like, dude, I was getting booed before I even walked out there. I was like, all right. I was like, all right, keep that same energy. That's what I was even saying in the weigh-ins. I was like, oh, you'll see. Like I'm a different breed, man. Like I've been doing this for a long time. I'm starting to accept that I am. I just got that black belt judo that I add into all my styles, and my team does a great job. Like making it sharp. And that night we didn't force takedowns. We tried to get Jack on the cage, getting tired. I could hear his breathing changing. I could feel his momentum, get heavy on his feet. I knew exactly, like I was throwing knees at his thighs, and I was like, okay, I can at least try to get some Charlie horses, or some joint damage. Like I was just trying to, like my IQ started kicking in. Like I was like, okay, I'm great at dirty boxing and pushing guys in the cage. Like I got to do that. Like I go try to do that stuff with Gaethje. And that guy's a tank. I'm like, man, I got to hold this motherfucker, or he's gonna kick me, punch me. So it was good. We did a lot of like good training, and put me like in the middle with like monsters, so that kind of stuff worked.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll tell you what, you mentioned your debut win over Trevor Peak, and now to follow it up with this big win over Jack Jenkins. Man, I can't wait to see what the UFC does next with you. Well, I want to circle back to your debut fight with Peak in a minute, but first, I want
Mm.
to piggyback on this most recent one, UFC 293. You mentioned fighting in Australia, all the booze, fighting the hometown guy. What was just the overall experience like? What was it? Was it? I mean, it's a long flight, long trip, right? But just what are
Mhm.
you taking from it coming back home now?
Uh, Man, it was just an awesome trip. Like what's crazy is like we started talking about it before we even went over there. It's like we expected to get booed. I was looking. I was the only Hispanic on the card. I was. I like we went. We were like cutting it down. We knew going to this kid. Like obviously, we're like Jack is fucking popular as hell over there. Like I saw that he's good following everything. So I was like, all right, cool. I kind of own that I'm going to the enemy territory. But to be honest, I loved it out there. Everybody was awesome. Like I was I went 2 weeks early, and went, walking around, going to some gyms and training, staying sharp. Trying to get used to like, you know, the environment, the area. So like I went, well, like the team was like out eating, and I was like taking notes where to go eat, because I was eating any of that kind of food, but like I stayed, I was zoned in, and then like people were awesome, they knew we're like not from here, from our English, and so it was cool, like I had a great time with the people and stuff, like, and then obviously fight night was a whole different story, like I'm like right in the hallway to walk, and then they're like, "Ooh, you suck," and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, "Damn, okay." Like, so this is what's gonna happen. I was like, "All right, whatever." Even when I start walking in, my music, I couldn't even hear my music that good. Like, and like I was like, "Oh shit, these people, like, there's a lot of people in this one." Like, oh fuck, like there has to be more than the Trevor P fight for sure. So I was like, I got in the cage and everything, but I'm just zoned in. I basically looked at it a Troy moment. Like how Troy goes
Mhm.
to like the castle, and Hector's dad's up there and his wife, everything. His family, and then they fight. And then Troy fucking kills him, drags his ass. And then goes back. That's what I basically wanted to do. I even had the red strip, and like that's Kratos. It's a God of War video game, and I was watching anime. I was like just laying down before my cut. Like this was like the day before my cut. I was like, you know what? I want to go get some. I'm gonna go get that red stripe, And then my coaches were like, nah, don't do it. Like you're like stay focused. Like nah, like I want like I'm focused, man. Like I just want a little more fire. And then I want to go do it. I came back, and man, I was just pumped. I was like, all right, cool. I got this fresh cut, some fresh color. Like and it just I was zoned in, obviously the first round. So that's why it's always hard for me to explain, but like the first round, like I like to, you know, strike and taste a little bit, and I was kind of showing Jack like you could kick me, you could punch me, you could out angle me. He was fast, he was twitchy. We like it was fun for me. Like I was like, oh, this guy's a real Dutch kickboxer. Like he's kicking me at my toes, my feet. Like now, like my coaches back in the Dutch kickboxing gyms, they would tell me that the Dutch guys do not kick the thigh and above. Like that guy was kicking me on the shin, kicking me on the ankle, on my heel, my toes. I was like, oh shit, that actually hurts. Like now I know why he's breaking feet. Like he's not kicking shins and conditioned thighs. He's kicking feet that haven't been kicked. So I was like, all right, well this is different, but it feels like all right, like he's getting like confident with it. He's
Mm.
starting to sink in, and I was like, oh, I could he gets close enough, I'm gonna grab his ass. But then he started grabbing me. But it's because I started applying my boxing, my pressure, and getting him like getting him a little nervous where he started tying up. And then that's when my my pulling game was working, my head pressure, the staying on the cage, leaving him more on the cage. I know he won cage position, and then I walked him right back. Like it didn't take a lot. Like I felt strong, I felt good. Like no bruises on this camp. Uh, I definitely got sick fight week. So like I think from walking around, getting ready, so I got kind of sick. So it definitely like even my corner knew, but they didn't want to tell me anything, like for me to mentally accept it, because they're like, well, you didn't bring it up, so we didn't bring it up, and I
Mhm.
didn't bring it up. I was like, fuck it, and my team was getting sick, and I was just like, man, nah, fuck that, like I came here to do the job, get this done. And then like it did affect me during the weight cut. I was like, man, it's like I'm holding too much for some reason, and like I felt like I was getting fried, but then obviously they started pulling. Like I started trying to relax, try to pull. Justin Gaethje was there helping me out, so it was cool to see him and get some kind of motivation. And then yeah, we made the way. And right when I made the way upstairs in my hotel room, we went straight to the weigh-ins.
Mhm.
I forgot there was like the camera weigh-in, like it's official like that. And I'm like, I totally forgot. I was like, oh fuck, I didn't even wash my face. I didn't but I just weighed in and then boom, and then just got to it.
So what were the symptoms you were having? Was it like flu-like sickness that you were experiencing?
Yeah, like, yeah, for like, so I don't get sick, like, but that's what's crazy. It's like if you look at all like the year, like you're never gonna see me post I get sick. I just ever since I moved to Colorado, my immune system has been good. And I always take like I take stuff for my immune system and stuff like that, but like I don't get sick. So like I knew it was from like the traveling and walking around, and there was a lot of people with the masks. So I was like, man, maybe we don't know what's going on over here
Mm,
because we know the news in America, you know, like nobody's wrapped up. And over here, everybody's all like covered up. And I'm like, oh fuck, like we should have we brought the mask, you know, but a lot of UFC fighters weren't doing it. Nobody else was kind of like I could see the tourists were not doing it. But the people, the natives, like they were, you know, I was like, oh, you live here? And they're like, yeah, you know, they had a mask, you know, but I wasn't asking like, you know, is there anything going around? Because it didn't hit me. I wasn't sick. I
right.
felt fine. I was walking around. The people were nice. The weather was awesome.
Well,
Um,
I
but
wonder if
yeah, like,
there
yeah.
could have been like a COVID outbreak over there that you didn't know about. Is the UFC still testing for that? Like, are they testing you for COVID prior to fights?
No, they didn't test us. Like that's the thing. That's why I think like things were different. You know, like they didn't test any of the fighters. Obviously, they did blood. They did blood work. Like the doctors checked us and stuff, but like
Mm,
nothing bad. Like USADA even came in and tested me and stuff. So, you know, like I guess I was fine, dude. Like I was like mentally good, but like I had a like right now I have a raspy voice. Like I'm trying to stay warm. It's like, you know, like try to recover, especially from the trip, like flying and then like I got like what's crazy is like right after my fight, I got to the hotel room. So the reason why I was like doing interviews with my shades on is because I had scratches in my cornea on both my eyes. So like in my fights, I don't blink, which is stupid. I just start blinking because I want to see where they're really going. You know, like where what kind of angle. So I'll take the fucking punch in my eye and then it gets scratched and then that's the thing. The doctors got to get in my eye and see if it's good and they didn't see no scratches but they could say it's like burns or like eye burn and stuff like that. So I went back to the hotel. I couldn't see. I stayed in my hotel room and then like it was pitch black and I fell asleep for 6 hours straight and then woke up and then started doing like literally started we walked like over 400,000 steps or something like that. Like it was like 40,000, like 20 to 30,000 steps a day. So we're like walking, like, and my leg was like bruised up and everything, but I still like was like, wow, Cindy's still dope. Like, want to go walk around and
mm.
stuff like that. So walked around and enjoyed it. Like I tell people all the time, uh, like the Australians had a lot of shit to say when I was inside the cage, you know, a lot of bad shit. But then when I was outside of the cage walking around, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I saw you fight. I love
Yeah.
you." You know, I'm like, "Oh, all right." You know, and people even knew, like some fans knew, like, "Man, you're judo." Like, and that's where I was like, "All right, well, I'm helping this side of the world learn a new art." You know,
Mm,
like over there they don't have really grappling. They're not known for wrestling or judo or anything like that. They're known for like top notch striking, you know, like some great glory kickboxers are out there. So I knew the striking part was gonna be fun, tough, you know, obviously something different. So, you know, yeah, I did a little research out there while I was like during the week of like still fight camp because like we treated it like we're back home like that week still in Australia. We try to get in the time zones, try to like get up in the morning at the same time like we were gonna fight. Like I fought 11:30 a.m. on Sunday in Australia, so it was like weird like the time zone. And then like people were blowing me up like like a day before weigh-ins. They're like, "Oh, can we eat free wings and stuff?" I'm like, man, that's crazy. It's like over there, it's like a day behind, you know.
right.
And like even before fight night, like people were blowing up my stuff already because it's still like kind of like morning. Well, no, it's like in the afternoon when it's morning in Australia. So like when I was getting up, I saw my phone blowing up. I didn't even go on my phone the whole time. Like I told my partner Claire to put on music, and that's the thing, they time zone everything where the fighter goes there, and then we have time to like warm up and then go out there. Like
Right.
so. Yeah, it was good. It was a good plan and everything. I felt a little, and then like sick a little bit, but then like it hit me like crazy after the fight. I went home, slept. I mean, in a hotel room, slept for 6 hours, got up, went walking around. But I felt it was already running. My nose was running. My voice was, getting raspy. I stopped talking the day. I was just like, man, I'm just gonna
Wow.
try to like weather this shit and then go home because, like, man, first of all, like I was like, man, I gotta go ice this foot, and then yeah, man,
Well,
just it was a cool trip.
you did a good job of getting through all that, all the difficult circumstances, and putting on one heck of a performance. And the last time that we did speak, Chepe, was before you fought Trevor Peek, and I mean, you look phenomenal in that fight, beating a guy that is like a zombie. He just keeps coming and coming.
Mhm.
You couldn't put him away, and there's nothing that you like couldn't have done more. You just did everything you could to put the guy away. How difficult of a fight was that?
Well, that one was, obviously it was like less prepared. Like I had 10 days notice.
Yeah,
Like before 10 days, I was like eating a bunch of like little shit instead of like, well, not like big meals, but like little snacks and dumb stuff. And I was like not as serious as a weight cut, but I was still training. I was helping out still, like Gaethje, the other guys get ready. But and then I had no like game plan. Like in those 10 days, I had to go get all my physicals, and like I had no training for the guy. Like nobody punches like that guy. So it's like,
yeah.
how do I find training partners like that? Like, so it was tough. It was tough. Um, I went in there with obviously less. Like if you look at my fights, if you go see Jack fight, like I promise, go see that fight first, and then go see me and Trevor Peek. Trevor Peek was way bigger. Like I had to fight way different angles. I had to get different strategy on him. I even tried to do an inside trip takedown on him, but he's a taller guy, so it was dumb. Like I didn't get ready like that. So it was like, well, I'm gonna show what I can, and then like I couldn't finish him because like we had no finish plan, like with Jack, we did have a finish plan. Like we had a camp, we had got to, dissect the animal, and that in Jack, like what he did, how do he switch his stance, what does he do when he gets punched, how does he, he switches his stance. I was switching my stance in that fight just to push his striking to bite a little more so I could be more active. Like if you look at that second round, that's what I started doing. And like even DC called it. He was like, bro, he goes like, "This is Chepe Mariscal, like if you want to fight, we're gonna fight, and that's what I was doing. I was turning it up. Even Lauren Sanko she was saying like, like it was a good idea me changing. Like I changed the fight like second round, and then in the third, I mean, yeah, the second round changed everything up. But like for the Trevor Peak fight, like all 3 rounds, I didn't have the plan to knock him out or finish him. So that's why you see me jumping on submissions. I was like throwing everything. People thought, so the thing is, like when I grabbed her leg, a lot of people think like, oh, that's a takedown attempt. Like it's a takedown, but it's another strategy to have them thinking. Like, oh, he's picking up my foot. I got to put my foot down. He's not thinking put my foot down, trip, or punches or anything like that. He's thinking defensively as I'm like trying to snatch the leg, the body, like it has him thinking, even when I even moved him with his own leg, like I knew he had the balance. So I moved him with his own leg. So when I placed him down, his strikes would be an angle so I could do those dodging moves, like I put him somewhere where I could find him. And then, his punches were so wide and long that I had enough time to get under them. Like I knew I had the speed and grappling advantage. I just knew the striking. I wasn't doing it as tight and strong like I did for the Jack camp. But yeah, dude, I was like, man, I'm still gonna show people what's up. Like well, I'm a dog. I fight anywhere, and whoever you are, I don't care. I'm down.
Where's your confidence at right now to go in there to beat Trevor Peek on short notice, then to go into Australia and take down Jack Jenkins? Your confidence has to be at an all-time high right now.
Yeah, it is, man. But like I told you, it's experience. Like every like interview I've been doing, it's experience. Like I know I got experience on Peak, experience on Jack. And they like I tell people like they haven't fought the guys I fought. Like I got ready for those kind of things. Like I did. I obviously have these losses, but I didn't have 6 losses like ever in like all my other like sports, like in boxing, kickboxing, and stuff like that. Like like even in wrestling, my senior year, I left. I ended my season with like a 36-3 record. Like I didn't like I didn't want to do nothing but lose. So I like everything I try to like win and then in the pros, I obviously didn't have the right guidance for fame or like for anything like fame, like how to handle fame, how to handle, training and work and putting places, where they got to be. Like I'm not a 24/7 hour fighter, but I learned that. Like you're not taught that, you're not taught this MMA mental warfare stuff, and like I can see the science now they're starting to evolve into it, they're starting to but they've been doing it for like obviously like Michael Jordan, Team Grover and all those other guys, but like when I read that, when I was listening to that book, like I was like, man, this shit cannot relate to fighting. Like that's some weak shit for me, like me, it's like we go in there, we put our life into it. That's why I was kind of like mind fucked a little bit when the fans were booing me. I'm like, you're booing me? Like I came all across the country to fucking fight your guy, give you guys a show. I was like, I felt like I was giving a lesson plan to everybody of judo. Like, hey man, your guy put his fucking hand out, not me. He
Mhm.
put it out. He's broken. And it feels a lot better that he said he quit. The ref didn't
Mhm.
tell me like quit. Oh, it was stopped because of me. No, it stopped because I broke the animal. I broke the opponent. He said my arm, my arm.
Mhm.
And that's why I was like kept punching because I'm not like I even told the ref in the back after I was like, hey man, I'm sorry for hitting the back of the head. I was like, but you didn't even like get between us. Like you're pulling me from the back. Like my hands are in front of me, bro.
Right.
Like like it looks bad, but like I tell every like the people that know me too, like I'm not dirty. Like people kick me in the dick all the time and fucking poke my eyes. Like if you look at my fights, even Trevor Peak punched me like uppercutted me there. Now even Jack kicked me there. I get it. Like there's some dudes like Berto in the UFC. He fucking hit me he kicked me in the dick and then hit me and then got me already like kind of dazed. So then when we engaged again, he knocked me out. But I didn't look, and I seen the exact fucking strategy, and I was like, "Fuck that!" Like, I'm not, and especially not let those losses beat me. Like some of those, I could say like the Bryce Mitchell fight, I got robbed, but then again, again, I fought a guy at his hometown place. I did whatever. Like some of those losses are because I fight the hometown guys.
Mhm.
Or yeah, they beat me, but I admit it. I'm like, they beat me, but they ain't gonna beat me like that the next fight. We'll do a fucking trilogy. I even told people I'll run it back with Jack, but I want to get paid if we're gonna fight. Like I want to, like we're gonna put on a show. Like I know he's a great kickboxer. He's gonna do what he's got to do to beat me again, and I'll do the same. Like with anybody, I'd give it like I want to get those losses back to the guys that are signed.
Of
Even
course.
the
Yeah.
guys that I beat that are signed, like Pat Sabatini, Yusuf's Law, like dudes like that are signed or not signed, like whatever. Like if they're in the UFC, like and bro, let's go. I ain't fucking scared. Like, I never turned down a rematch. Like I was the one applying the rematch, and then I would even tell the opponent after if I take like, hey man, you want to run it again? You let me know. We gotta go talk some numbers, and we get on the show. Like I've never even said I don't even know how to say no to no opponent. I like even Jack, Trevor, like they were not my picks. There were guys like they're in my way right now. Like now I get to like see if maybe fight one of their like the UFC wants me to fight, or I get to pick this one. But I'm just gonna be ready for whatever. And I try not fight. I'm already like hitting the gym and doing recovery, and like the only thing that hurts is like my leg, obviously. Like I'm not sparring or anything like that or grappling. So it's like all like strength conditioning, sauna, hot tub, like trying to keep my weight at a good level, enjoy myself a little bit too. And then get ready for a fight in like December. Like I
Yeah.
got now I got all September right now to recover, do all this shit. Like this is the boring part, like for me, like because I don't get to punch people or grapple or get better. I have to recover. So it's like a lot of like just going to meeting appointments, recovering, which is awesome. The recovery here, it's like A1. That's why I'm here. Like I came here for the altitude, the recovery, the knowledge here. The UFC started in Colorado, so I feel like I'm part of some kind of history. I'm 30 years old and I get to see 30 on my gloves, on my shorts. So I'm like, man, I came in the right fucking time, like where the pay is good, where they're giving 50G bonuses,
Mhm.
where they give us more of a platform, like now more like you guys calling me, like before it wasn't like that, I was very low key and I wasn't trying to toot my own horn, like I thought that was kind of like a real G doesn't go around the block and say, I'm a real G,
Right.
like I didn't want to be that guy, I
Of
was like, you
course.
know what? I'm just gonna talk with my hands, my style, and then get good with this talking or whatever, and then do what I gotta do.
Well, everyone's clearly excited to see you back in there. So you said December would be like a good time frame for you to make your return to the octagon. If you had your perfect choice for an opponent, who do you think makes sense? Who would you like to fight next?
Uh, man, I don't know. It's tough because I can't say, especially because when I'm getting paid and like I'm starting off with the a normal contract, and the thing is like I want to work where if I'm fighting ranked guys, I want to get paid, man. Like I want to like I already showed the UFC and the MMA fans. If I have to keep proving myself, I will. I'll keep fighting their top prospects that they expect that are going to go all the way um, for this contract, eat those guys alive, and then try to go my way up there. Like I've trained with some of the guys that are top 10. I even seen Volkanovski out there, and I was like, oh, I'll fight this motherfucker. Like he's not as big. Like I train with nothing but monsters. So it's like, man, like I said, I have always confidence. I saw Volkanovski before the Jack fight. It was like for USADA testing. They were like, all right, you come with me. We got to go to a different restroom. So we went and like Volk was right there, kind of like squared up, seen the animal, seen the victim, and I was like, all right, like he ain't fucking that scary. Then I went, pissed, went back to work, and then got the win, and then it just builds my confidence more because Jack and Volk trained together. So I was like, oh, I'm just getting a little fucking
Mhm.
closer to where I want to be. Like if I win
Sure.
a title, that's great and stuff like that. And then I keep the nutrition part like a fucking blindfold, for people like especially the media and stuff like that. Like, but it's same question. Like I would obviously like I obviously got some good nutritionists, but I'm trying to hit the science and see if I could touch bantamweight. That would be fucking cool. I'm fast enough at lightweight. I'm strong and I feel solid at featherweight. And if bantamweight, my power could, chip these guys' heads off. Like I will, yeah, why not?
Mhm.
Like shit. I been doing this all my life, and it's like, or if I could get the help, that'd be dope. Then I'll go do all these things. I would like to be a good like prodigy or whatever project for somebody. Like give me all the health benefits. Tell me how to eat right, sleep good, like things like that. Like whatever I got to do to be a world champion, and I'll do it. Like I never second guess anybody's stuff. I'm like I love science to it all. Like my partner is big on that and like putting the right food in me before like certain times because like man, I get big fast too. Like I'm already walking like around 168 right now. So it's like like and it's not like I eat a bunch of garbage. I eat a bunch just too much healthy food. It's
Right.
like if you overeat it, yeah,
Got a
dude.
big appetite.
So
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah, dude. So, but yeah, like, and it's tough to be victim choosing if I'm playing at two weight classes. Like a lot of people are giving me shit. Like they're like, "Oh, featherweight, you're gonna get eaten alive." Like, bro, I've been fighting in featherweight. Like I've been doing the preparation at that weight class. I used to fight at lightweight. That's why I wasn't scared of the Trevor Peak fight. You know, yeah, obviously I was scared of like, yeah, he might clip me and fucking, get a highlight off of me, and especially a 10 days notice. But I went in there and did my thing, dude. Like I'm just trying to do that and then see what I can do with this contract. Obviously if we can renegotiate and get some bigger numbers and bigger names and dogs, man, shit, let's go. But but I got to this dog's got to get paid.
I hear you, my man. Well, I can speak for all the MMA fans out there. Everyone's excited to see you back in there, Chepe. Congrats on
Mhm.
another impressive performance, this time beating Jack Jenkins at UFC 293. Before we do sign off here today, I want to give you the floor to thank anyone you want to thank. If there's anything you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Yeah, man. Just thanks to all the fans, the real MMA fans that are, really dissecting to this kind of the art that we're doing, and shout out to all them that are really, you know, mastering their IQ, trying to get their knowledge up there. And shout out to like my team, Elevation Fight Team, my corner that night, my partner Claire Guthrie, and a shout out to you, man, for giving this kind of light in your, your work.